Darth Maul has always been an amazing character. Since the reveal of his unique double-sided lightsaber in The Phantom Menace to his reign over Mandalore in the Clone Wars, Maul has always been powerful, killing Qui-Gon Jinn on Naboo and taking on multiple Inquisitors at one time. However, Maul's power level has been debated a lot between fans online, so today we're going to fully discuss the true power of Darth Maul. Darth Maul started off on Dathomir, where, like the other males of his race, he was enslaved and controlled by the Night Sisters. He had two brothers, Savage Opress, who later becomes his apprentice, and Ferrell, who Savage killed as an act of loyalty. Darth Sidious, aka Palpatine, sensed his potential in the Force and took him under his wing as his apprentice. He was raised to hate the Jedi that protected the light side of the Force, giving him a desire to see the Jedi Order fall. During the invasion of Naboo, Darth Maul confronted Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn. Despite him killing Qui-Gon, Kenobi defeated him by cutting him in half and sending him down a pit, causing everyone to believe he was dead. This was later disproven in the Clone Wars, where his brother Savage saved him from insanity and Maul took Savage as his apprentice, making it his goal to take down the Jedi, in particular Kenobi, the Jedi who drove him to insanity. He then later led the Mandalorian terrorist group Death Watch to claim Mandalore, kill Pre Vizsla and take the Darksaber. However, as his power grew, he became a threat to his old master, Darth Sidious. Palpatine attacked Maul and his brother at the Palace of Mandalore, killing Savage and taking Maul as a prisoner. He was broken out by his Mandalorian loyalists and reclaimed his spot as the leader of Mandalore. However, Ahsoka Tano was then sent to capture him and beat him in a duel so the Republic could capture him, but due to Order 66, he got out and proceeded to plan how he would take down Palpatine and Vader. After going through many different ways, he finally faced Obi-Wan on Tatooine, who slayed him down for good when Maul attempted to use the same move that he used on Qui-Gon Jinn. However, Obi-Wan had a way to parry it and then took him down instantly. So from this extremely vague summary of Darth Maul's life, how do we get about determining his power? Well, to approach this we need to talk about different aspects of his powers, starting with his telekinetic force abilities. We see at the end of Clone Wars that Maul has the ability to take down the hyperdrive of a Republic Venator. He breaks the entire control panel off the base, tearing the metal using only the Force before pulling down the 4 huge pillars which support the hyperdrive. This takes the Venator out of hyperspace before crushing a group of clones with the pillars as they fall. In the same scene, Maul has the power to control the body of a clone to shoot at his fellow troopers, and the clone can't fight back before being thrown off of the ledge. In his infamous hallway scene upon the same Venator as the last feat, he uses telekinesis to use wall panels as weapons, blocking blaster fire and throwing it hard enough to decapitate 2 clones, knock 2 out by crushing them together, and stab 1 through the stomach. Not only did he do that, he also pulled back a clone's arm as the door closed, amputating it, despite another clone pulling to get him through the doorway. In his later confrontation with Ahsoka, he pushes her back hard enough so that her lightsabers can't stop her as she falls down into a pit. Now moving on from that arc, in the first episode of the Clone Wars Season 5, Maul and Savage are fleeing from pirates after Kenobi broke Savage's leg. Whilst getting shot at, Maul has the strength to pull an entire shuttle down from a cliff to block the path for the pirates. Now quickly speaking about this fight between Maul and Savage against Kenobi, at the end of this fight after Kenobi kicks in Savage's leg, Maul uses the Force to pick up Kenobi and launch him to the end of the corridor with enough force to collapse the ceiling in between them. Now this either means Maul hit Kenobi against the wall hard enough to collapse the ceiling, or he managed to pull down an entire ceiling of a hallway down just by himself, which is also an incredible feat. Now moving on to Star Wars Rebels, Maul is able to lift Ezra as he falls, which doesn't sound too impressive. However, Ezra is accelerating down and fast, so Maul is able to provide enough power to slow him down and grab the holocron, which is how he pulls Ezra up, adding extra strain. Not only that, Maul also teases dropping Ezra as he's lifting him to prove that he didn't have any problem with it. Not only does Darth Maul have extraordinary physical abilities from the Force, he also has an extremely powerful mental connection to the Force. Once Darth Maul learnt that Kenobi was on Tatooine, he set it out as his mission to find him, and when he eventually got to Tatooine, he sensed Kenobi was on the planet with him and tracked him down. Now going back to the Clone Wars when Maul and Savage were ruling over Mandalore, Darth Maul sensed Palpatine arriving almost instantly, showing how strong he is at sensing a threat. However, one of his most impressive mental feats is that he had an extremely accurate vision that Anakin Skywalker would turn to the dark side and destroy everything, which obviously came true. Like the majority of Force users in the Star Wars universe, Maul is not limited to just his Force abilities. His skills with a lightsaber are incredibly showcased in every scene where he uses it. In The Phantom Menace, we see he is skilled enough to take on a Jedi Master and his Padawan at the same time. Now instead of talking about separate feats he has with his lightsaber, I'm going to talk about a series of duels he has, which showcase his skill in the best way. So to start off, let's talk about his original demise in The Phantom Menace. Like I just said, this fight shows Maul has the skill to take on a Jedi Master and his Padawan at the same time with his double-sided lightsaber, and we even saw briefly on Tatooine that he can take on Qui-Gon Jinn as a fair fight. However, he did of course get beaten by Obi-Wan Kenobi on Naboo after Maul killed Qui-Gon, slicing him in half and sending him down a pit. Now there is a lot of speculation about this duel as a whole, saying that Maul didn't show his true potential. However, due to Maul being raised to hate the Jedi by Darth Sidious, I doubt this is true. Another theory is that Qui-Gon sacrificed himself for the future of the Jedi, that if he died, the Council would have to honour his dying wish to train Anakin so he can bring balance to the Force. Now this does seem like a thing that Qui-Gon would do. He knew the Jedi Order and the Republic were shrouded by darkness and that the prophecy would regain balance to the Force. The only reason that I have that could prove this wrong is the fact Qui-Gon was putting up a really good fight and looked genuinely beat when Maul stabbed him. However, for all we know, he could have just been taking acting classes in between training Obi-Wan and pulled off the performance of a lifetime and actually planned his death. Either way, Maul still fought extremely well and bested him. He also got the high ground over Obi-Wan when he force pushed him down the pit, making him lose his lightsaber, despite Obi-Wan jumping back up and slicing him in half. Overall, this fight shows Maul's power as an apprentice, before he was fully enraged by Kenobi and the Jedi Order, which greatly improved his powers later on. Now Maul and Savage fought against Obi-Wan like I mentioned earlier, and they overwhelmed him easily. But other than that, there's not a lot to say about it, so the next major fight is him and Savage against Palpatine. And this fight was nothing less than incredible. It doesn't show it as a feat for Maul other than the fact he can hold his own for a fair amount of time against Palpatine. Now obviously Savage is killed by Palpatine here, however Maul fights back for a fair amount of time before getting taken down by the Sith Lord and taken prisoner. Now the next fight is an obvious important one, Maul versus Ahsoka. Now people say that Maul isn't as strong as he seems because he lost this fight, but not only wasn't it an extremely close fight, Dave Filoni said that Maul is the better swordsman, and the only reason he lost was because he was overconfident and underestimated Ahsoka's power. Now in Rebels, the fight between Maul and the Inquisitors is also pretty impressive, fending off 3 of them at once, all using double-bladed sabers and being trained by Vader. Maul manages to fend off against them all, even getting the advantage at multiple times. Now the final duel to talk about is his last, when he fought Kenobi on Tatooine. This short fight proved that despite Maul's immense power, he was still quite reckless, attempting the same move he used so many years ago on Qui-Gon Jinn to kill him. However, Obi-Wan was the polar opposite of this. He processed his grief for his master, and in his time in exile, it gave him time to think about how Qui-Gon could have saved himself, performing the perfect parry to strike Maul down for good. Now in my opinion, I think that Maul is one of the most powerful characters in the Star Wars universe, on a level just below Vader because obviously he'd get demolished by Vader. I also know this is my first Star Wars power scaling video, so I haven't got anyone to compare him to, but after doing more of these videos, I'll merge the Star Wars and Marvel characters together, like a battle of the franchises kind of thing. So if you want to see a video like that, make sure you subscribe to my channel for more power scaling videos like this, and I'll see you soon with another video.